Hmm. Where's Outlook? Hmm.
All right, it's 1:01, so why don't we go ahead and get started. So if you don't already have your name displayed on your picture, if you could do that, that would be great. And to do that, if you hover your mouse over your picture, next to the mute button, there's another button that has 3 dots on it. And if you click into that, you should get a rename option. And if you could put your name in and program name, that would be great. And because we have a large group and a big agenda, if you'd like to introduce yourselves, if you could do that in the chat function with your name, agency, and our icebreaker today is to tell us what your favorite spring activity is. So if you can do that in the chat, that would be great. And then just a reminder to everyone, please keep yourselves muted if you're not talking to avoid any background noise. That would be much, much appreciated. And then we also wanted to check in with folks about the breakout sessions we did during the last meeting. Just wanted to make sure that went okay with everyone. If anybody had any technical difficulties. And one of the reasons we're asking is we would like to do this occasionally. So we just kind of wanted to check in and see how that went. And if you'd like, you can share that input right in the chat box so we have a record of it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our main event. We are very fortunate to have some agency partners joining us today that are going to share some thoughts on alternative distribution models. So what we wanted to talk about a little bit today was some of the alternate methods that folks are using to increase access to food within their program. So we have a lot of agencies being really innovative and doing a lot of really cool things. And so we've invited a few of them to chat a little bit about those and just share some of their experiences. They're going to talk for about 5 minutes or so each. And then afterward, we'll have, let's open it up for questions and answers and discussion amongst us all. Any questions so far? All right, so the first person I have on my agenda is Brad from New Ulm Emergency Food Shelf. And I believe he is going to be talking about mobile distribution that I think started last year during COVID. But correct me if I'm wrong, Brad.
Okay, sure. Have me start, huh? Just about the food shelf. We started in our food shelf started in 1982 in New Ulm, and we serve New Ulm area and 5 also smaller communities in our area. Prior to COVID, we served about 160 families a month, and we also run a produce event usually from June to October. Right now, we are serving about 50 families a month through our food shelf. We are running about five families or 5 seniors. We started a senior program last year. It kind of went after was modeled after the U of M's 14-day program for shut-ins. Right now, we only have 5 left, and that's going to be ending in May because the stay-at-home order now is off. And then we launched a mobile food shelf in November of last year. We thought about doing the mobile food shelf off and on for several years. And then when we seen the transportation grant that was offered last year by the state of Minnesota, we decided to apply for it to possibly get a refrigerated trailer. And so we could use that as a mobile food shelf. We were granted the money, not from the state of Minnesota, the transportation program, but they moved it, they transferred it to the CARES Act, and we got it from the CARES Act. At that time, when it was approved, I asked the president of the New Ulm Lions Club if they would partner with us on this program, because I knew it would take a lot of volunteers to run it. And they readily said, yes, they would. So from there, we formed a team of 2 coordinators from our board of directors and 2 coordinators from the Lions Club. And we created a plan to distribute food through a client choice model food shelf, mobile food shelf. The people can, we have a form that looks like this. I don't know if anybody can see it, but it's a form they can fill out online, through email, on our website. We have drop boxes off at different apartment complexes, low-income apartment complexes, and that's where we deliver to. They fill this out once a month. So what we do, we do a client choice, we box it up, and then the night before we go to deliver it, we box up any perishable items, which includes dairy, meat, produce, bakery. We box all that up and put it in a trailer. The next day we deliver it to them at their apartment complex. Right now we have 4 apartment complexes we serve, and also we do it for Lafayette. They don't have a low-income apartment complex. We do it at a church parking lot, and in Hanscom we do it at another parking lot. Right, we didn't know what the need was. Right now we have about I get my notes here someplace. We have, since November, we've had 84 families sign up for the program, and 88% of those had never visited a food shelf before.
Wow.
So we know the need is there, and about 65% of them are seniors. Right now, we currently have 41 active families. Our initial cost for starting the program is around $40,000. And I estimate that our annual cost is between $6,000 and $8,000. That's not including food. That's overhead costs, boxes, insurance, licensing, all that. Licensing for the vehicle and everything like that. I estimate it takes about 56 volunteer hours per month, using 18 volunteers. And that's not including, I do about another 30 hours a month, paperwork and maintaining stuff like that. I'm gonna have a meeting of the coordinator soon, and we're gonna readdress it and look at it, see how we can streamline it more, because it does take a lot of hours and time. And Shar says I should have some words of wisdom. Well, I don't know if I have any words of wisdom, but all I can say is that wherever you live, and if you can come up with a delivery method, many more people that need assistance could be served. There you go, Shar.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions on that? It's kind of quick because I talk fast, but oh, here's a picture of our food shelf, mobile food shelf. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see it or not.
nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Quick question, Brad. When you package it, you said you put your perishables in the evening before, is that right? And then you
Yes.
put your dry in the morning? Is that how you're doing it?
Actually, for now, for let's say the month of May, we are packing the non-perishables tonight,
Okay.
and we will load it the night before, along with the perishable items.
So how does the freezer versus refrigerator work for you? I mean, it's a refrigerated unit, right? And then how do you
It-
use the freezer?
It's actually a freezing, excuse me. It's actually a freezing
What
unit.
you're talking about.
It'll go down to
Really?
4 degrees below
Y'all,
zero.
okay, fine. Do me
We
like
usually,
that.
we usually set it at right around 30 the night before. And
Okay,
that way the frozen items will stay frozen, but the non-perishable items will not have time to freeze.
okay. And your produce stays good too and doesn't freeze?
Yeah. The only thing is we don't load the bananas that night. We do it the next morning because they're too temperamental.
Yeah, right.
We haven't had any
Okay.
problems because they are in everything is boxed up too. So it stays pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay.
Other questions right now? We'll leave some time too when the other two agencies are done speaking as well. And you can also feel free to type questions into the chat too. We'll read those off. All right. Next up, we have Adam Hoffman from the Open Door to talk about pop-up distributions to school locations.
Hi, everybody. My name is Adam. I work at the Open Door Mobile Pantry. I'm the mobile food program coordinator there. So we have a lot of different varieties of ways that we get food to people. Schools are one of them. So we partner with some schools here in Dakota County where we do all of our programming. And each school is pretty different, especially since COVID. But traditionally, pre-COVID, we would have our mobile pantry bus, which is like a 16-passenger bus with only the driver's seat, show up at the schools loaded with food. We have an idea of how many students we're going to be serving that day. And these are primarily like, these aren't like your full-on public school. These are usually schools that are like alternative schools, alternative learning centers. And the kids, being as young as like 10 years old, are doing the shopping for their families. The schools then hold on to the food in proper refrigeration for the day and then get it with them on the bus. A lot of the times it was timed to be right before school dismissal. So sometimes it wouldn't even require refrigeration. They'd put it on a certain bus or a van and then get it home with the kid as soon as possible. Since COVID though, that's changed to a pre-packing model where we get, on a certain day, we get an email from the social worker that says, we want this many units set up, and some of them, there's like, restrictions that we follow, like some are halal, some don't want this or don't want that. So we just make adaptations for those sort of things. And we do have one school that is pretty unique here in Rosemont, where we have set up a pantry inside the school. And so they get a Second Harvest order once a week where it comes there. They get a lot of fresh stuff that the other schools don't. They have, access every day that the students are there in order for them to, if they need anything. And then we're able to serve a lot more people at those sites, or that particular site. We are also serving at Dakota County Technical College and Inver Hills Community College. And Inver Hills Community College has finally been able to secure some grant money and get stuff rolling to set up an in-house pantry there with refrigeration and freezer space. And that's hopefully going to be up and running in July. And that'll be an exciting new feature for students on campus because it's definitely needed. So a variety of other things that we do. We have a mobile lunchbox, which is a summer feeding program. We partner with the school districts to target kids who are on free and reduced lunch. And the school district provides us with meals to bring to these neighborhoods, because it's generally neighborhoods we're focusing mostly on mobile home communities where there's a higher concentration. It's not like a door-to-door delivery. It's like we show up at a certain, like at the playground, whatever it is, at the mobile home community, and then students come, grab food, and they're able to take that home and eat it. So to give some perspective on that, in 2019, we served like 5,000 meals. And in 2020, we did 30,000 meals with that program. So we saw a major increase, and we don't have no idea what this summer will look like because we're expecting the highest numbers of summer school participation. So we're thinking that's going to take a pretty big cut out of our programming. But we are thinking, so right now we partner with District 191, which is part of Eagan, Burnsville, and Savage. District 194, which is Lakeville. 196, which is Eagan, Apple Valley, Rosemont. And then we're going to be partnering this year with 197, which is West St. Paul School District. So that's the new piece there, which is pretty exciting. We also do pop-up produce, we call it. That's like traditionally we focused on getting large amounts of produce into neighborhoods, usually the same neighborhoods that we were serving with our mobile lunch box. We would be there once a week. Historically, we could do like 10 to 15,000 pounds of food per week that we're there. And it's just one night, one evening, afternoon. And it's first come, first serve. Anybody can come grab food there. And we've switched that to, since November of 2020, to a large drive-through distribution at Metcalf Middle School in Burnsville, which is, the school was shut down just due to enrollment. And so that's been a thing going on there. And with that, we've served since November, we've served like over 500,000 pounds of food there. And I'm trying to find some specific numbers. It's, we're at, well, this is just for this year. Let me see. Sorry, I don't have this one. Oh, here we go. Total households, around 13,000 households, and we're there once a week. Lots of food, lots of stuff going on. I correct that. It's 770,000 pounds of food that we've distributed there to those.
And was that CFAP, Adam?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
Okay.
That's primarily CFAP, and then we would add a few thousand pounds onto other food that we're able to get a hold of.
Okay, thanks.
And so we're continuing that distribution until the end of September at a minimum. And me and my agency specialist, Lisa, have worked together to create a plan B, which when CFAP runs out, which we thought it was going to be right now, we're going to just have another option of food available. So that's the plan there. And we average about 34,000 pounds of food per distribution at that big drive-through. And we average about 620 families per distribution. So yeah, those are, and then on top of that, we have our regular distributions that we do where traditionally be a bus, that same bus that goes to the schools. We would go to a certain neighborhood on a certain day. People would have appointments. They would come on board, grab whatever food they wanted, and do all that. And then we have some indoor distributions too at senior centers to increase like accessibility. They're wheelchair, walker, scooter friendly, where we set up in like a community room and we're able to serve, up to 70 residents of a certain senior center. So we do that in 3 senior centers here in Dakota County right now. So yeah, that sums it up. Lots of different ways to do it. We're super flexible. We use vans, buses, small box truck, 26-foot refrigerated box truck. We make it all happen in a variety of ways.
Adam, for the Metcalf distribution where you've been distributing the CFAP boxes, can you say a little bit more about the choices you made in terms of what food to supplement that with?
As far as what I bring besides CFAP?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's anything surplus that I see on Second Harvest, on Agency Express, or anything that we get surplus in our food rescue programs. or just from, like, we have a Pepperidge Farm vendor that gives us all of his bread that he pulls off the shelf, and we average about 1,200 pounds of bread just from this one guy alone, pretty much every week. It's crazy how much bread we get. And then there can be
yes,
like,
we did get your payment.
okay, so then in addition to that, you know, I'll look, like I said, on Agency Express, and there'll be sometimes like eggs have been available. There's been a large amount of eggs recently. So I'll get that order on Monday. I'll put it on my truck and then bring it there on Tuesday. And we distribute, I don't know how many cases of eggs, around 1,000 pounds of eggs at least. So stuff like that, I just keep my eye on Agency Express all the time because I'm making so many orders for different things that just be able to make it work and, you know, figure out what moves easily and what doesn't, you know. TFAP items too, I guess, like there was some shrimp that was available, thinking of that. Sometimes we've had some add-on items that Agency Express has asked if we can take it on, like liquid eggs, the frozen jug of liquid eggs, or frozen peaches or something like that. Yeah, we just try and make it as streamlined as possible for our distributions. Any other questions?
How do you find your volunteers for all of that?
Great question, because we lost almost all of our volunteers when COVID started because it was primarily senior citizens. But we have some really great partners who are able to spread the word about what we're doing. We had a social media presence before COVID, but after COVID, and like in the beginning of it, we really pushed hard on social media to spread the word that we are still serving, we are still doing this, and that we need partners or volunteers to help us. So people just came out of the woodwork. And, you know, our mobile lunchbox program in the summertime has recruited a lot of teachers who weren't working in the summer and who some of them weren't working at all this past year. So we were able to get a lot of people from that, like especially like substitute teachers, some paraprofessionals who were in the schools normally, but were not able to do that. They would come and help us, and just a lot of new faces. You know, there's some figure, I think before COVID, we had like around, I want to say like around 200 active volunteers organization wide. And after COVID, like right now, I think we have like 800. It's crazy how many more volunteers we've gained. I'm seeing something in the chat here. The forms, well, from the way that I've understood it, there's a question about, do you need to collect TFAP forms? And I've, with working with Roel in the past with this, it's more of like we have the information visible, and it's like a, you know, if we had to collect every single signature, boy, we wouldn't be able to get this stuff done in any sort of time frame. So it's a visual, here's the information, you know, just make it work as fast as possible, sort of thing. Anything else?
Thank you, Adam, and thank you for helping us move some of that surplus TFAP. You TFAP eligible agencies will be getting an email in the next week or two with some more surplus TFAP that we need help moving. So greatly appreciate that, and our distribution center appreciates it even more.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to Mary Hernandez from the CAP agency, who's going to talk about some of the distributions they've been doing throughout a few different areas.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Hernandez. I work with Esperanza, currently part of the CAP agency. And I'm not going to speak on behalf of our food shelf because it's a whole different world. I'm only going to speak about the pop-up food distributions that started as soon as COVID hit. And we originally had planned the first week that the government shutdown happened, or that everybody was stay-at-home law came in. And we thought around 25 to 50 families were going to show up. We had 125 families show up. So we started knocking on doors, partnering with Second Harvest, Good in the Hood, Heart. And from there on, we started running with we have around 20 organizations that we partner with, whether there are churches, clinics, city parks, schools, police departments, which has been very helpful to create a link with the current situation. We work with, I would say, probably 60 to 70% are people of color. We have a weekly drive-through distribution in Burnsville, which we serve 300 to 400 families on a weekly basis, and we use the CFAPs, we use the ordering of Second Harvest, we use food rescue, which has been amazing, amazing, because it also sometimes brings cultural items. And because most of the families in Burnsville are Latinos, this is a tremendous help to be able to service our community with products that they're going to use at home. So Burnsville is our biggest Latino population that we're working with on weekly basis. We were going to run on monthly, we run weekly basis in Burnsville for Dakota County. We partner with different organizations throughout the cities. We are currently in 13 different cities. The CAP agency covers specifically Scott, Dakota, and Carver County, and we focus the majority of our work here in these 3 counties. But through our partnerships through COVID, different cities and different counties were also in need at the time to do the pop-up food distribution. So now we, through different organizations as a partnership, we go to Farmington, to Northfield, to St. Paul, to Minneapolis, to Bloomington, to Brooklyn Park currently. So wherever, and most of it is communities of color that we are working with. The organizations that we partner with provide the volunteers, and they're very excited, very excited. We work from high schools to churches, and like I mentioned, clinics, so their staff. There's always an abundance of volunteers. In Chaska, the Chaska Police Department comes in, and in Waconia, the sheriff, the food shelf, the city. So there's always lots of people willing to help, and there are different populations when we go to different cities. When we're in Norwood, in Winston, and Waconia, the majority are senior families. We are servicing between all the cities and all the programs, probably around 3,000 families a week. As I heard Adam speak of like the poundage of per distribution, I know I can for sure track it with Burnsville, and we're doing between the CFAPs and the food rescue, probably 20 to 40,000 pounds of food on a weekly basis that are going out to our families. We are very excited that we continue to build these relationships, and they're all pop-up distributions. They're all contactless distributions. So it's all just pop your trunk and we'll load it. We sometimes get the food we also do the summer produce distribution, and we also partner with Mystic Lake. And because we have so many volunteers that are kind to donate their time, we pack the produce right on site. So we have bags, we have boxes, and there's not a lot of pre-prepping time. We do it all on site. Our volunteers love it. We smell like onions. I swore if I ever saw an apple again, I probably would never eat it. And we still work with lots of tons of apples. So we love to partner with Second Harvest, and all of our partners are tremendous. They care about the community. We love to, I would say my favorite part of all the work we are doing is just getting to meet new people in every different county, every different school, every different church. Is people that care about their community. And the beauty of this all is the volunteers, when people go through the lines, the volunteers know the neighbor. It's the neighbor going through the line, and they're kind. You know, we want to give people their dignity as they go through the lines, and we try to limit the waiting time. So we want to do this fast. In an hour and a half, we go through 400 to 500 CFAP boxes, and then everything else that comes with this. So I like the personal relationships in different cities that we go, because it could be someone's uncle or someone's grandma driving through that line. So that's one of the things that we have seen that we appreciate as we partner with different organizations. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. We do 4 to 5 different public distributions throughout the week, servicing around 3,000 families throughout the week.
Mary, that's great. There's a question from Sue. What documentation are you doing?
We do a tally sheet that we provide to Second Harvest, actually. And we do this kind of paper. I don't know if you can see it. And it tells us like how many households are you picking up? How many children under 18? Adults 18 to 64, seniors 65 plus. We track the race, the zip code, and we ask, is this your first visit in one of these? And then we put it on the windshield, and our volunteers can see it, and then they know how much to put in the vehicle. So there's the only person having contact with anybody is the person that fills out this paperwork as the driver goes through.
And then I had a question about how you're repacking the food rescue. So when the food rescue arrives, how are your volunteers handling it so you can keep the distribution touchless?
You guys are amazing. The drivers, I love the drivers. I obviously I love what I do, and the Second Harvest drivers, like, they already know us, so they actually separate meat, dairy, and vegetables or produce in 3 different lines. So then we have volunteers packing meat, we have volunteers packing the fresh produce, and we have volunteers doing dairy. We do it in different bags, and then at the end, each volunteer, as we align them as a car goes through, one does dairy, one does produce, and the other one does the meat. We've been doing this for 18 months.
Mary, can you just, you answered about the documentation a little bit. Do you have a copy of that? Did you get that document from Second Harvest, or do you have a copy you can share of that? And the other is,
we came up with it because we have been very creative. You know, in the winter we actually laminated them because they were getting wet and we were losing a lot of the data. Also with the rain, I can share a copy. I can send it to Lisa, and I'm sure she can share it. We came up with it, and then at the end we come in and we put it all in a spreadsheet.
all right, so then just the practical part is you give that sheet to the car, they fill it in and put it on their windshield, or does someone?
We have a volunteer.
Does it at their
3
window?
to 4 volunteers that go down the line as the cars are waiting, because people arrive, sometimes people arrive 2 hours before.
Yeah.
At Lavinia in Burnsville, when we have food rescue, they really like the food rescue side of it too, because the CFAPs, you're seeing them mostly everywhere, and food rescue has a variety. Like I mentioned, it has a lot of Latino cultural items, so it seems to be our most popular one. Plus it runs on a weekly basis, so they know that we're going to be there no matter what. So we have 3 to 4 volunteers that go down the line asking people for the information. And then our volunteers put it in the windshield. We also have 1 volunteer that opens all the trunks to make sure all the trunks are open when they go down the line. And at the end, we have a volunteer that takes the paper back, that collects it for us. And that volunteer takes the paper and closes the trunk.
So Mary, there's another intake question here. How are you documenting that 50% of your guests are low income or in crisis per Second Harvest Heartland's requirements?
some of them, and Shakopee, some of them, we work through the food shelf. Our word of, the way we spread the word is through our Shakopee food shelf. So there's no other way people would know this is happening if you're not a client of the food shelf.
And I would just maybe add on Lori's behalf, we're pretty much just making the assumption that anyone who shows up to one of these distributions is in crisis. So it's self-declaration.
We also think that if you're not in need and you don't qualify, you would not stay in the car for an hour and a half. And I know also we talked with Second Harvest about this. It wasn't a matter through COVID. It wasn't a matter if you qualified. It was a matter if your business shut down, if your hours were shortened, if you had to stay, if your kids were home and you had to leave work. So it was a very, as we all know, there were various factors. And then when George Floyd instance happened, we had a lot of need, and that's how we expanded to the Bloomington, Ridgefield, Minneapolis area. And now we also expanded to Brooklyn Park with different organizations. So it's where the community has been hit that we know there's a need. We know that it's not greed, it's a need. Thank you, Second Harvest, for the opportunity and for everything you guys are doing. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk and share a little of what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, thanks. Does anyone else have any questions for the three panelists? Jennifer, I just got a message from Adam. He's able to pull up their tally sheet on his screen if we want to take a quick look at that. Sure. Otherwise, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat. Adam, why don't you go ahead and are you able to share, or do you need to get permission from one of the hosts?
Let me, I'm not that used to Zoom. We use Teams. I know, oh, there it is, share screen. Yep, perfect. Okay, so that piece of paper that was just talked about, we do the same exact thing, but we use some tablets. So that way we don't have to do because we used to use paper, but we would then have to spend time tabulating all that data later on. So this is our current version of what we use. Our questions, we track what city people come in. Let me get down to the bottom here. It's only cities in Apple Valley. As you can see that there's some other. So the cities that we track, and this is an organization, just preference, it's nothing Second Harvest related. Apple Valley, Burnsville, Eagan, Farmington, Hastings, Inver Grove Heights, Lakeville, Mendota Heights, Rosemont South, St. Paul, West St. Paul, and then others. So we get a lot of others, but the way that it works, a vehicle pulls up, how many households are you picking up for? Picking up for 3 households. Okay, what cities do they live in? You just click off each city. How many children are in each household? How many adults are in each household? How many adults over 65 are in each household? And is this your first time receiving food from the Open Door?
Adam,
we actually aren't seeing the document.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you have 2 screens, that might be
There.
There you go.
Okay, so this will help. Yeah, I never clicked actually to share it. So here we go. So this is what our spreadsheets look like on our tablets. We ask what city the residents live or the clients live in, how many children are in each household, adults, senior 65 and older, and is this your first time receiving food? Then all the information is tabulated over here in this area where we get our households, our new households per tablet, per distribution, our new individuals, the total children, adults, so on and so forth, and then each city. So then then we put into our master sheet, which tells us how many households per distribution, because like I said, we use up to like 4 different tablets for this to work. How many households per distribution, how many new households, how many new individuals, totals, all this stuff, which this is where I was able to pull some information off of, what I was talking about earlier. And then I just track my weights on here too for everything and throw on a bunch of averages that just help us to be able to talk about what we're doing. But this is a really helpful tool. It's the same thing. These tablets that we use, which I can show you here real quick. It's just a pretty durable tablet. They can get wet. They come with a nice stylus, which is really helpful in the winter time. And then so when the car does pull up, to avoid having to ask that same car the same question, how many households are you picking up for? We use some expo markers. I have some right here. They're a dry erase marker, and they go on it like it's almost like soap at the car lot. They're really opaque. So you put this on the screen or on the driver's passenger, like the driver rear window of the vehicle. You just write 1, 2, 10, whatever it is, how many households they're picking up for. Then our teams that are at our distribution station, they know exactly how many households to pick up or to load into that vehicle without even asking, because that number is right there. And the only problem when it's raining, these don't work very well at all. And so we sometimes have to then like reach in and write on the windshield on the inside, or like on the inside of the window, or then sometimes we just tell them. But fortunately, we haven't had much rain, so hope that's helpful.
That does remind me, I missed an earlier question, and maybe this could go to Mary and to Adam. So what do you do when it is raining?
We run. We wear ponchos and we laminated our tally sheets. We run in the winter. We run when it's snowing. We run when it's raining. We want to put food in our families' homes. And I know that if we don't do it, I'm not sure they're going to have food that week. So we run our volunteers. They have been out there with us. We know we're going to get wet. We know we're going to freeze. We were able to purchase some heaters. So sometimes we have, depending on the site, specifically in Burnsville, because we run on weekly basis, we have heaters where people could go and warm up, take a break, go warm up. And then we have the hand warmers, feet warmers, and we bring them wherever we go.
So for our operations, I can agree with Mary big time. We just keep on keeping on. We've only canceled since November on Tuesdays. We've only canceled twice because it was extremely cold temperatures. We adopted the same weather thresholds as I think it was St. Paul Public School District, because out of all the districts, they had the lowest temperature rating, and so I think it was like a negative whatever windshield temperature. Then we will not do our distribution. And so the snow isn't too bad, but the rain, as far as the markers, I saw a question in there, will it leave residue? We have rags that we give all of our, what we call our car stoppers, and they just wipe it off and it comes right off. So it doesn't leave a residue as far as we're concerned, and as far as we can tell. And we see the same vehicles time and time again. We also bought some heaters, some outdoor patio heaters, like the kind that you see. It's called like a mushroom or an umbrella heater. We got 4 of those from donors. We powered those all through the winter with propane, lots of hand warmers. We moved our distribution from these neighborhoods, these smaller neighborhoods where we didn't have any permanent place to store anything, to that school, Metcalf Middle School, because then we have a bathroom access. We have indoor space where people could go and warm up. We have Keurig in there. People can get a hot drink. Fortunately, we were working with volunteers who've grown up here and know how to dress for the weather too. So that really helps. And we do have tents. We haven't had to use them yet, but we have like 10 by 10, like what do you call it, like farmers market style tents that we would set up over the food. If it was forecasted to just be rain and not a lot of wind, then we would continue on. If it's going to be rain and high winds, then the tents aren't even going to, even though we have weights for them, Like it can get pretty hairy with that. And if it's going to be any sort of chance of lightning, we're not going to be out there because we want to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe.
I want to add, if I may, that we bring the tents also to protect. I know we use the freezer blankets and, but we also add the tents regardless. So to make sure, because the sun doesn't hit. So we want to make sure that people take the best that we can give. So we bring tents, we bring tables to do that too, to help with the sorting too.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Adam.
Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for sharing and thanks for the great questions. For our last few minutes, we wanted to open up the discussion to the group. And forgive me, I'm looking for my agenda here. Okay, so we're wondering if anyone has any other alternative distribution methods that they would like to share. And if so, what worked or what was the challenge to those? And I will copy and paste these into the chat. And then also, are there other distribution methods that you may have wanted to try? Maybe what help do you need to get there? Or what ideas can the network share with you to help with that? And then maybe also talking about what are the barriers that keep us from trying new methods of distribution. So feel free to answer or explore any of those questions, and I'll copy them into the chat as well.
Jennifer, can we add one more? Because I think this is a timely question that Michelle has brought up that she wasn't able to bring up last time. And that's whether anyone is going back to a client shopping model at their food shelf.
Can I add to the food shelf? One of the things that we're also doing, and that it's client, not client shopping, but more client specific. We started a site or link where if you were infected with COVID, it's all private and confidential, and we would deliver to your home, deliver to your family. So aside of the pop-up distributions, we also deliver to families in the counties that we know that have been infected with COVID.
Feel free to just unmute yourself and share or ask questions, or also you can type in the chat.
Hi, it's Elizabeth from Prairie 5. And we have gone back to client choice in one of our food shelves, but we do require masks in the food shelf. And then we do have volunteers, and the volunteers are the ones that are taking the items off the shelf and then putting it in their on their cart for them. So we do try to limit the contact and then sanitizing between each client. And it seems to be going okay, but our numbers have been down and we haven't had the high volume like we typically do, but we just have them wait their turn and it has been going okay.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
You left in your office. Who you are? What's that?
Hi, I'm Jane. Not my dog. in order to continue to keep our attendance going, I laminated half sheets of very bright orange paper, and on that I put their first and last name. They keep that in their car, and when they drive through our line, they hold that up, and we can read that from being outside or being inside our church, and we can see the name, get it in there correctly. I print out new names every week, and we still register new guests that come through our line. That has saved us so much in the winter, especially. We don't have to be outside to get the information that's already in our spreadsheet. We only have to put their name into our spreadsheet then. So that's been very helpful for us.
I don't know if everyone can see the chat, but we are getting a few comments. It looks like Joe Marie at Delano Helping Hands is also thinking about moving to client choice this summer. Alana at Candy Ojai County, they also deliver food, and looking like they are looking to open up at the end of May. After super shelf training and planning to have one person come in every 15 minutes to help provide some space, and keeping the curbside open available, as a majority of clients like that option and masks required. Sonia from White Bear Area Food Shelf want to bring foods inside and keep the curbside and mobile programs. So it sounds like a few programs, and we've been hearing that too from others, that some folks really like the curbside model, and maybe something that programs will continue as again another way to provide that additional access to folks. Again, in the chat, Big Lake Community Food Shelf is hoping to reopen in the fall and have an online pre-ordering system up and running by then. Again, hearing more people thinking about that as an option. And Scott, I don't know where Scott is from, but they are looking to open in the fall too in September, but also continuing curbside and home delivery. Seeing a theme here.
I'm curious whether anyone else is exploring a pre-order system like Big Lake.
Or if you're currently using one.
Yeah.
We do the pre-order with the mobile food shelf, that's only, but not with normal food shelf.
I know Echo Food Shelf in Mankato is doing online ordering.
Somebody just sent me a question about the Super Shelf program and whether that is through Second Harvest. It is not. It's coordinated through the U of M Extension Service. Does anyone else want to say more about Super Shelf, especially if your food shelf has gone through the transformation and what that was like?
This is Catherine from Watonwan County Food Shelf. We are currently going through a huge transition. We actually last weekend just got done moving out of a 600 square foot building to a 6,000 square foot building. And one of our transitions is including that we're going to be a super shelf. So we're in the process of learning all of that. And I don't know, I mean, it's scary, but we're very excited because just looking at it and finding out information about it, we think it's going to be a really big benefit for the people coming in and shopping, as well as financially for us too.
Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah, thanks and congratulations and good luck. Yeah, I don't think 4 minutes is time enough to talk about super shelves. But do check in with your specialist, agent, Second Harvest specialist, and they can connect you with more information if you do want to learn more about super shelf. And I believe we'll probably be hearing more about the program overall. You know, now that I think more people are starting to open up and super shelf becomes, because you really need to be open to do super shelf. So I think we'll be hearing more from the program about what the next phase is going to look like.
My cuckoo clock is fast.
Well, I just want to say there's some great stuff in the chat, and we will be posting that so everybody can read back through all the comments.
If you have any great ideas for next time, for topics for next time, please let us know in the chat here, or you can let your specialist know, or go on to Agency Zone. There's a whole section on agency online exchange, and you can put suggestions in there. And you can find the link for the meetings too.
Yeah, I did just want to share that with folks. I hope you can see my screen. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go out to Agency Zone, which is agencies.toharvest.org, there is a page dedicated to the agency online exchange. And you can always see what the next exchange topic is, past topics. And then here on the left side is the link to both calendar invites if you want to download them into your calendar, or you can also click or copy and paste the Zoom link. You can reuse the Zoom link. It is the same for all the meetings. So just wanted folks to be aware of that, because we do get some questions with folks looking for the links. And then we do send an email out once a month with information about the upcoming meeting and sharing links for the past meetings. But you can always find all of that out on Agency Zone. And there's a lot of great other stuff out here too. We've probably got a minute or less left. Any other last thoughts? Questions? Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending and sharing and asking questions. Please let your specialists know if you do have any ideas for future topics. Thanks, and have a great rest of the week.
And thanks to Mary and Adam and Brad for presenting today. Good job.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.